All right. Perfect. And I'll do my little cue in. And happy Halloween, MixTapers. I, as always, am your host with the most skeletons in this closet, Punky Bruiser. Yes. And with me, my fateful co-host, Dylan Willoughby. How we doing, Spooky Boy?
I'm a little nervous now that you mentioned all those skeletons. That's well, but we're gonna strive through.
Hey, as I always say, never double cross me. Now, MixTapers, we are absolutely honored to have joining us tonight, not too far from me here. Make some noise for comic book artist Steve Lavinge. How we doing, Steve?
I'm doing well. Again with the skeleton theme, we could have gone with a key, not be afraid of the skeletons, but we had the skeleton key, perhaps.
Oh,
for Halloween.
Man. All right. Yeah,
okay.
All right, making notes, going back. Okay, we're going to start it back from the top.
And one more time.
And look, I'm Halloweened up since I know this is going to be somewhere later in the month. Wearing my Halloween for a couple minutes here.
Absolutely. I dig it. I've got you can't see, I know you can't, but I've got a little bit of a Halloween theme going myself here.
I can see it. I can see it there, yes.
Little Michael Myers
scared.
action.
I don't have any.
There we go.
Macho Man. Macho Man's Halloween.
Oh.
Macho Man is Halloween themed. That'll
True.
all year round.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
that's
good. That's a good one.
Yeah, Dylan, let's hear your Macho Man real quick.
Oh, you want to hear mine?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Very nice. And one to round it off. Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's got the grit, man.
You gotta have that grit. It's all those years of smoking cigarettes in the past. So
or Slim Jims, smoking Slim Jims. I think
smoking Slim Jims. Yes. It's been a while since I've had a cigarette, which is a good thing. Now,
right.
Now
I'm gonna jump out. There we go. Now I can.
There
see
we go.
you guys
Now we
a
can
little
see
better.
each other proper.
Right. You guys are a little blurry for a minute there.
Yeah, kind of readjust, and then there we go.
There we go. Focus.
For the MixTapers that may not be familiar, tell us a little bit about your comic book history.
Well, it's not spread out through the comic book world like DC and Marvel, but I've worked on the Ninja Turtles for 40 years for the Kevin and Pete next year, or this coming year. It'll be 39 for me. I kind of got in early. I've known Kevin since high school, and when the first books were coming out, Kevin did the lettering, and he really didn't enjoy it, so he asked me to do it. I had never done that. Practiced a little bit. Met Pete. By issue 5, I was lettering the comics, and eventually graphic novels. I started painting the graphic novels, and then covers, and I always had a more cartoony style, so when they finally became a cartoon, or as I like to call them, the pizza-eating Cowabunga Turtles, that's where I got to do a lot more art. And me and another gentleman, Ryan Brown, did the majority of stuff coming out of the studio. A lot of the group shots that we did still appear, you can still get them on T-shirts. It's insane this many years later to see a piece of art you did. And of course, like any person that does art or anything creative, the only thing you see are your mistakes. So I've looked at that for more lifetimes than I'd like to.
40 years.
Yeah, but a lot of fun. I mean, crazy, insane. I mean, the two, Kevin and Pete owning the property, we had the best. We have no grumbles or gripes. If we do, we're making them up.
Honestly, I think most of us grew up with so many of your iconic images because we grew up with the merchandise, and Ninja Turtles is so embedded into our culture. Now, when you started working on this, did you think that, clearly you probably didn't think this was going to be like a cultural phenomenon?
No. I mean, and it is funny, now, very odd, because we always have been from the beginning. And like if we were at a Comic-Con, somebody comes up to the wrong end of the table and they're like, so thank you for creating the Turtles. And you're like, no, those guys down there did it. We'd be pointing away. But now recently, because of kind of what you said, I did a lot of that stuff. So people recognize my stuff before Kevin and Pete's stuff, which is very, throws me off completely when somebody says something like that. But no, I mean, we were happy. I know I left a semi-good job, I guess I would say, after high school to join Kevin. But my parents knew Kevin, so, they might have grumbled a little bit, but I figured, hey, a couple of good years, this might be my one chance to do something, like in that type of a vein, actually, so I never thought. No, I mean, 5 years would have been amazing, but within, 3 or 4 years, just about, it was already progressing into toys and eventually animation and all that stuff. So, nope.
And then the major motion picture that changed it all.
Yeah. I mean, and the wonderful thing is we got to go down, to the movie set, which was amazing. In our young brains, my wife Denise is always now kicking me because she remembers them asking everybody if we wanted to be extras, and all of us but Kevin said no. And I'm like, really? Me? I'm not that shy. But she said, yeah, all you idiots said no, so then we couldn't be in it. And I'm like,
oh man,
but
you gotta kick yourself a little bit on that one.
I don't know. It was such a great experience, anyways. I mean, we got to watch.
Just watching it,
mind blowing. We got to shake Jim Henson's hand one evening for the Raphael Casey Jones fight in the park. Brian, his son, was directing that scene, and he came, and so we literally turned into pimply faced teens, like, "Hello, Mr. Henson, it's your nice," and he's very graciously shook all our hands, and just crazy. And actually, in that process, we got to meet a lot of the Creature Shop guys, and they said, "Hey, if you ever come to London, let us know because we'll take you to the Creature Shop." And we were like, "We're going there in a couple months." So it actually worked out. We went there for a con and got to go to the Creature Shop, which was another whole other story, but it was amazing.
Oh my god! And I'm sure just that for all of us that grew up, especially us, 80s kids that grew up in the 90s, or those that are a little bit older, we grew up in that world of practical effects before CGI, and those are the things that I fell in love with. Movies like movies like Alien and Predator, and seeing Tom Savini's work and George Romero's Of the Dead series and things like that.
I mean, there's a character Savini Romero in the Turtle universe. For why?
Because all those guys were juggernauts of practical effects, and to be able to work on something, a drawing, and then for a team like the Creature Shop to take your vision to life, it had to be absolutely surreal.
Well, I mean, again, at the onset, there was so many different versions of that movie. I know Kevin and Pete would have a better recollection because they were dealing with it. At one time, it was kind of, it was going to be comedians. It was going to be with some makeup and kind of a weird thing. Then it turned to like, no, we're going to make it a chop sake movie. And then when Steve Barron kind of got attached to it, he had a connection, I guess, somehow through to the Creature Shop. And, Kevin and Pete were just blown away. We all had to sign non-disclosures even in the studio back in Massachusetts because we were getting videotapes of them doing the first time ever an actor could have the thing on from the waist up, and have the head be controlled by puppeteers off to the side. We wouldn't have been able to explain it to anybody, but it was just so we had to sign non-disclosures because of the Creature Shop. But it was incredible just to watch that whole movie come together and turn into what it actually became, which is, still holds up, surprisingly.
Yeah. Absolutely iconic.
It unbelievably holds up. I go through the original trilogy once a year, and honestly, well, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I said good for you all the way through. Good for you.
All the way through. Even Turtles in Time. Sometimes it's our blemishes that give us character.
Well, I will. I don't want to jump all over that, but we actually got to meet one of the puppeteers from that movie, the third movie, and because the Creature Shop wanted a whole bunch of money, kind of way more than they had done for any other movie, the movie company said no, and they got these other guys to make those suits way faster I mean, of course, they had some direction of what they were going to look like, unlike the Creature Shop, but they had to have them able to ride on horses,
Horse beds.
and have and have the same expressions as they had used to have with puppeteers. So it was all radio controlled, and they were filming in Seattle, and it was pretty close to the airport, so they'd have to make sure that their things didn't cross. Well, one of the puppeteers that we know, he was like, yeah, no matter what we did, one of the turtles would be riding, and all of a sudden just go, you know, and the whole face would just go off, and they'd be like, well, cut it. They have to figure out what frequency, call the airport. And I was like, hands down, that made me mad respect for that, what they were able to do. Because the thing I liked in that movie was the Casey Jones and the Feudal Japan guys. I'd watch a whole movie of that. I'd watch a whole movie of that. That was funny, but yeah.
No, because it's your classic fish out of water setup, you know, and that's what makes it so fun. You know, when they're learning everything about, you know, modern times, and then that is the although there's a lot of comedy relief in that movie, that is definitely the biggest comedy relief. I got no hate on Turtles in Time. There are other projects we could talk about that have gone different directions that we don't need to put our energy into, you know?
No. But anger has been dispelled. I love the new movie. The new movie's wonderful. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
I have not seen Rogan's version of it yet, but I've heard really good things. I know it's been a very busy summer.
It's on Paramount Plus. You have no excuses. Be quiet.
By the time this airs, I will watch it. So it's great. I loved it.
And we will give our full review on the Halloween episode too. Yes. All right, we got homework. Yes. We gotta watch.
You guys are. That's an assignment assigned right there. No, it's a wonderful. I enjoyed it immensely. I thought it was a lot of fun. Kevin has a voice in it, which is he does a voice in one scene all the way through. But the voice cast, so much fun. The animation just stunningly beautiful. I hands down, I know why it did so well on Rotten Tomatoes as well. There'll always be haters if it's not exactly your version of the Turtles, but boy, did they do a good job. I feel like it was really a lot of fun. So, assignment, you guys. I'm a little disappointed. I feel like I'm going to shut down, done with this interview, walk away angrily, maybe swear.
You could swear a little bit.
We do allow swearing.
It coming. Now, at least we are very familiar with all the other previous installments, so you give us that. You know, there's that.
True. Yes.
So, kind of backing up a bit. So you were one of, I think, the first person hired for Mirage back in the day.
I was.
And also, as the rumor has it, the basis of Michelangelo.
Hairline alone, look at that. I mean, I had the glasses, the hairline. If I was green, yes.
Wax on?
I mean, again, I always say, I heard it for a few years at Comic-Cons that Kevin said it in an interview, and then of course in Turtle Power he says it in, calls me out basically, I guess. But I kind of figure I was the guy saying probably the stupidest stuff in the house, between me, him, and Pete. So maybe that's the reason. I don't know. But it's nice. There was a lot of stuff back in the day. Just a lot of fun, So I think a lot of dumb stuff that we said and did got just stuck to those guys early on, which is great, But I didn't flat out realize that I was Michelangelo for a long time, and then people used to ask me why I wasn't wearing orange, and what? It was a little weird, and they tell me, "Oh, I read an interview. Kevin said this," and they're like, "Oh, all right," But it's very nice. I wish I knew it before they sold the Turtles, and then maybe I'd be like, a little more money this way. But no, they were great in that capacity too. When they were sold, it was Pete owned them, but it was a wonderful. They did nice things for all the guys involved, which was great.
Well, that's really cool, and that must have been interesting when it transitioned over to Nickelodeon, and then they kind of had their couple different attempts with it. However, I gotta say, the 2012 version,
one of my all-time favorites. I mean, it probably is my all-time favorite version of them. Truthfully,
they really do such an amazing job exploring the amazing mutated world beyond, much like the comics did in the early cartoons, which I loved. I always loved just how just really obscure some of the characters started to be, where other people, you know, they might not like it getting weird. I like it when things get weird.
I agree 1,000%. I mean, they took some of the Mirage stories that I thought were weird in the Mirage universe, and turned them into things. They brought them into the Mirage world, and they brought in, you know, the 2003 cartoon, some of the aspects of that into it. Thought it was a great version of. I mean, the 2003 version of them was really nice because Lloyd Goldfine and Pete really did a great job in really making him kind of a Mirage. The first, like, I think 13, maybe more episodes, don't quote me on that, were directly, you know, the issues from Mirage, including like the miniseries with Donatello and Kirby and stuff like that. So that was, at that time, I thought it was mind-blowing, and they gave a nice gift at the end of that. They did a Turtles Forever thing that Pete basically paid for the fans, which was very nice. But then the 2012 series, I mean, I have to go like this every time. Yeah. I'm like, you guys, you tied it all together, did a beautiful job. They made the Flush-O-Matic a viable thing in one episode, which that was insane to me. Never should that have been done, but it was. So,
but it was. And they brought some of that obscureness back to life. And a buddy of mine years ago was like, you got to check it out, Punky. You got to check out the 2012 Turtles series. I was like, all right, because we were talking about some of the direction of the live action. And I was like, it just didn't scratch the itch for me, you know, with yeah. And he's like, dude, honestly, he's like, I swear. He's like, I am. And I was like, all right. And shout out Jason, homie, for giving that suggestion, because he was so right. It is seriously some of like the best Ninja Turtles out there. If you're not familiar, mixtapers, you got to go and check out the 2012 run. It's fantastic.
Yeah, they did some amazing things even towards the end. Some of the Tales of the Turtles. They did some crazy episodes in that, and those alone. That little section was really cool to watch. Future Turtles and Monster Turtles and different things that were kind of toy line things and different things like that. So really amazing. Ciro Nelly, all the whole crew. I think Ant Ward was also one of the producers who did Rise. Just really cool. I mean, again, the 2012. I don't know why all fans didn't embrace it, because it would be great if they kept going with that series. Although, you know, like I say, really loving the new movie, loving the new style of animation, and I know they already launched or will be launching Tales of the Turtles on Paramount Plus with that characters and that animation, which is
awesome.
They announced that when they launched it on the thing, and they've got a lot of that stuff on the platform now, which is very cool that they're embracing the Green Boys from the sewer. Like, you know, it's nice that they got a good summer and hopefully a good fall and future on there.
I think so. I think, honestly, the Ninja Turtles are timeless.
For sure.
I think each generation, it kind of reflects the zeitgeist at the time. From the earliest inclinations of very kind of dark, gritty punk rock sort of. I
always think it's so funny because I think about those books and I'm like, a couple of blood splatters. The original story, yes, I get it, but now when I think about when somebody says that, I'm like, gritty, no, Deadpool there's a big hole and Deadpool puts his head through the hole, and goes, hey! And kids are doing that now. That's a little stranger than what we were getting hit with as, it's really gritty and nasty. Because I think Kevin and Pete were pretty tame with a lot of that, which was kind of weird and smart on their part. Other than and of course the original issue was supposed to be a one-off. They killed the Shredder, so it wasn't supposed to go to little kids and become what it became. So the origin could have been a little harsher. And of course, there's so many ties to we all know Daredevil and blah blah and all that stuff, and Ronin and
the foot, the hand, and
the foot, Splinter, stick. So. But yeah. No, it's just funny. I always love when people say, "It's really gritty," and like,
I mean, as compared to today's standards, yes. Oh, absolutely.
Even at that time, regular comics were getting away with a lot more than I think Kevin and Pete were trying to. They didn't really. They could have. It was an independent thing. They published since they could have sworn in it. They could have done a lot, but they really kept everything kind of PG-13 to only the first issue might have hit a slight R, but not a whole bunch. Which again, always surprised at that because they were able to adapt it pretty quickly into stuff for First Comics and do the graphic novels and stuff, and those were not had any age restrictions on them either. So kind of smart on their part. They kind of kept it kind of on the cleaner level and didn't mess around too much.
Yeah, and that's like really apparent, I think, with the stuff where we came in as kids with like the cartoons and stuff. I mean, some of the characters, just completely, over the top and ridiculous, which I love. I mean, Slash will always be one of my favorite, antagonist of all times.
I always have a funny story for Slash, and I don't know if Kevin will get mad or. I always think I know where we get, because I don't know if you guys remember Bloom County, the Burt Breathitt strip with the Opus the Penguin. It was a daily strip, and it was a crazy popular daily comic strip. But they did multiple collected versions of it. Well, there was a character, Bill the Cat, and Bill the Cat was kind of a disheveled cat with one giant eye and one small eye, and all it did was go like ah. And make that noise, and it was like no matter what, every time you saw it, you laughed. Think about Slash's eyes, one giant and one small, and he's got kind of like and I'm like, Kevin. Every time I think about that, I'm like, you got that from Bill the Cat, my friend. You got that, Bill. And it kind of teams it out. It doesn't make him as harsh as he became over the time, But we had a lot of fun just making up characters for. I always say this. There's still a bunch of drawings around. We all had so many, I think, better characters than got into the toy line that got rejected. Really? Surprisingly.
Any that you can remember?
Well, there was one that was. I initially made a spider because they asked for a spider, but I did it. I think the sports turtles were just coming out, so I made it like a pitcher. So he was a reliever and a starter, type of thing. And then I think they took it and Varner turned it into construction worker, but it looked kind of weird. And then I redid it as a construction worker and had like a, retractable line with a suction cup, and those type of things that you could do. And to me, it was perfect. It fit perfectly in the line. New York City construction worker, the turtle, It seemed perfect after they changed it to that, and I redrew it, and I was like, they just never did it. Ryan Brown probably had 100 of them. All of us kind of, they would come with a wish list, and they'd give it to Varner as well, and we take our swings, they take their swings. If Playmates didn't like how they did it, they'd send it back to us to kind of mirage-ize it. We had the no legs can be the same. No arms can be the same. Those type of rules. You got to kind of mix and match and mutate it just enough so, you got a lot out of the characters, and then it can, in the sculpting phase, they'd always add more textures and extra creatures, which we were always digging afterwards. I think the only things we got mad at was some of the paint jobs. We were like, no, not that color scheme, but it was fine.
Live and let live.
Yes,
Dylan,
yeah.
Dylan, do you remember the first time you got onto the Turtles as a kid?
Yeah, it was actually, for me, it was the live action movies, the movies from the early 90s. I was right around like 6 or 7 years old. I born 93, so like end of the 90s, and had the first one on VHS, and I watched that thing religiously growing up. Like I remember my favorite Christmas growing up was when I was 10 years old, and I got the whole underground, like the whole sewer set and the van, and we had like Foot Clan, and we had Shredder, and we had all the Turtles, we had Splinter, like the whole setup, and that was like the greatest Christmas. It's up there. I think actually it was the same Christmas. I got that and a PS2, so it really was the greatest Christmas
Wow,
like,
I'm
ever.
hard pressed. I think I would have just slid that playset aside for that PS2, but you know,
I played with the playset. I mean, I still have the toys somewhere.
it's actually a great display piece for figures. You know, if you have it, which is a lot of people. Of course, they get destroyed, and the cardboard pieces get destroyed. But
Yep. Especially when you're young and you have younger brothers, they like to.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. So limited runs doing the Shredder's Revenge game. They're porting it to PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 5. Sorry about that, Freudian slip there. And Xbox, whatever. And they asked me. I was early on, kind of working. I had to design a playset that looked like the sewer playset, but not the sewer playset. So I actually made because of Shredder's Revenge, I made Dead End Alley, kind of a playset that was kind of a multi-level. Those windows with bad guys that can be around the roof and on top, and it was just funny because they asked me to make it look exactly like box art. So I made it look exactly like the old box art, and then they'd show it to I guess .emu, who had the game, and they're like, "No, it has to look like the cartoon." And I'm like, "Why do you keep this?" So I took two or three attempts at it, and they're like, every time they were down with it, Limited Run was down with it, but the other guy would go like, "No," and I'm like, "Don't keep telling me what do I have to do?" They're like, "Oh no, we want you to do it this way," and I'm like, "Evidently not." So I ended up passing it off to a guy, Tim Laddie, who was doing the Saturday morning cartoons. He's done Ghostbusters and I think G.I. Joe and stuff for IDW. He's become a good friend. So I kind of went tagged off. You're younger than me. I'm too old to be making revisions when I'm not being, being paid. Here you go. And he ended up doing the box art, but he used my design for the alleyway and kind of made it more of an animated style. So, but it was fun to work on, and come up with a play set like that.
That's really awesome.
Yeah,
I always loved that playset as a kid. I mean, the Turtle Blimp was always one of my favorites as well.
If you could get it to hold air. If you could get it to hold air, it was a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah, but I was patching that thing left and right. Before we wrap up, I remember being a kid and now, there would be all sorts of different appearances at the time in the early 90s of, costumed individuals going to the mall and doing turtle photos. And I remember I was probably about 6, so it had to be about 91. My dad was taking my brother and I to go see the Ninja Turtles at the mall in Massachusetts, in Emerald Square Mall. And I got so overwhelmed that I didn't meet them. I cried my little face off because I didn't know what I would talk about to the Ninja Turtles. And to this day, it's one of my biggest regrets that I never went and talked to the Turtles. My brother has a photo, still has the photo of himself with all the Turtles, and I never went.
I'll tell you this funny thing. So Mirage had 2 meet and greet suits, with the big heads, what you were going to meet at the thing. And I remember we were doing an event, I think in Springfield. It might have been a Make-A-Wish event or something like that. So Jim Lawson had a white Toyota pickup. We had the suits. We had a Raphael and a Michelangelo. Kevin and I put on the big meet and greet suits. We drove out to Amherst, Mass, and we walked around Amherst, Mass with those giant suits on, trying to get people to go to the Make-A-Wish thing. I would later, I would put on that suit again twice. Once for People Magazine. There's a picture in People Magazine of Kevin and Pete, and there's a turtle. Couple turtles. I'm one of the turtles, and then I did a morning show as Michelangelo. I had to fly out to California, put on that giant suit. It was, oh God, I can't even think. Will Shriner show. It might be out there. I might have just killed myself, but I wore the suit and never mind. Hey, before we go, I told you.
Yeah,
I told you I was gonna show you some skateboard decks.
Oh my God! Look at Casey.
So these were actually, it's funny, this is what it started out as. I kind of got this paper made and I was doing some sketches on it. And I always liked the way this one came out and I was like, maybe I'll make a skateboard deck of it. So I did a Casey, so he's the first, but I'll show you how they progressed if we get a couple seconds. So second one,
we always have
we have a Neutrum. not a Krang, but a Neutrum. It's the Mirage version. So I like this, and I'm like, well, I can't keep doing the decks with just a square. So I progressed to a full Utrum almost. As much as I could get on the deck. Which was a lot of fun, but I'm like, okay, now I'm having a blast. I'm just having a blast doing these, doing these decks, and so then the next one I came across in my pile of sketches that I didn't sell, luckily, was a Rat King. And I'm like, I kind of like I dig him, Jim Lawson's like, he looks nice. I'm like, he's nice to the rats. He's a nice guy. So this one progressed a little further into, okay, I went horizontal and I had to add pipes. And shoulders, but it's the original thing, which was a lot of fun, So I was like, oh my god, I'm having so much. This is stupid. I'm having a blast doing these decks. So I went further, and I was like, the one creature that never got his due justice in Toy World was Cuddly Cowlick. So I did a Cuddly Cowlick and is zooming through space. But he's the first one that was I did hit this just to do a deck. I'm like, Cuddly deserves a deck. So,
absolutely.
Had a blast. I got a couple more. My wife told me we needed a Sergeant Bananas, so I did a Sergeant Bananas deck with bananas raining down behind. This is old art that I had done, so I just kind of scanned the art and did drew some bananas and made a background for them. But again, too much fun. And way back in the early days of Mirage, we had portfolio things, and I did my Big Daddy Roth version of a turtle, which was the Ninja Nutcase. So my wife said, "You got to do that as a skateboard deck." So it's Big Turtle in the original Turtle band. He's got the red bandana, and he's after the Shredder, who's kind of rat fink-eyed himself, and. This was a portfolio piece from the year late 80s, I think.
Wow.
Probably a date on it somewhere, but I cut my name off. I don't know, but it was a lot of fun. So those are the decks.
Those are fantastic.
You can get them. You can hit me up on Instagram. I have if you go scroll down a little bit, I'm going to repost it again. I'm going to keep reposting it because having a blast. They're like signed and remarked for $125 plus shipping.
That's not bad at all. That's all from Shellback Artworks.
Yeah, and they're beautiful maple, 7th. You can ride it. They're not unrideable. They're totally for riding, but I don't know how many people are going to ride them.
God, no, I would be hanging that up.
Right. Yeah, I've got a Neutrum hanging in my studio over here. You can't see it. I got some board hangers. And I've been rotating them occasionally just because I like to see them, but I've got to get some horizontal ones for Cuddly and Rat King. But having way too much fun doing it. I'm a little embarrassed because I keep telling my wife, I always have fun doing what I do. I mean, how can I not? But way too much fun doing that. So I actually did a Last Ronin one. The cover me and Kevin did for the issue 5 with Last Ronin. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Oh, I do.
I was like, his position's kind of nice and would fill it. So I did it. I sent it to Kevin for his blessing because we both worked on the cover, and he's like, down with it. So I'm going to be at Rhode Island. He's going to be at Rhode Island. I'm going to at least print a couple of the decks so we can each have one for to hang up, or it'll be up for sale probably quickly from both of us, knowing us. Sign this. I'm going to keep this forever, or at least until I get home and I can sell it. But at least forever, yeah.
At least forever. Now, I actually have a signed print of that Last Ronin number 5 from when we met a couple months ago.
So it is that piece, yes.
Is that piece, yes, which is so good. So you're going to be at the Rhode Island State Comic Con in November?
Yes, we are. Yeah. My first time in a few years, which is nice. And again, the last time I think I was there, Kevin was a featured guest. And now that we're on opposite coasts, it's kind of a gift. Even when he gets here in the motherland, his dad still lives up here. Some sisters live up here. So, we get seconds if we get that. When I had Shellback, I got to trap him there for a little while and go out to dinner with him and Courtney and me and Denise. Wish we had more time to do that. Yeah. I see more of Pete, of course, because he's out here, but that's also a great thing, of course. But, I'll get to see Kevin out there, and, who knows? Pete managed to pop up at Granite State with me, which was wonderful. never can guarantee what that boy will do, but I'm always happy when he gives me a call and asks me what I'm doing and what time the show's runs, and I'm like, okay. So it worked out for Sunday at Grand State. I think with Pete, it's going to be, I'll drive there, but don't tell him, let him know I'm coming only the day he's coming guy, which is completely fine, but he's so gracious. I mean, he signed everything for free, so I automatically had to sign everything for free. Kind of had to humble myself down, but it was nice because it was limited to 2 pieces for everybody, and made so many people that were fortunate enough to be there get there very happy, and he loves that, and so we're hoping that at these closer to Massachusetts events, if it works out, we can sneak him in. It'll be wonderful. If he's sitting at Kevin's table, it'll be amazing. If he manages to get to mine, completely happy. Anybody else's, I know he's met Jim and Eric and Mike Dooney at a small con in Greenfield, Mass. So love that he does that, and like I say, it's wonderful for the people who happen to be there because all of a sudden it's the greatest day in their lives.
Oh, absolutely. And I think for all us Turtle fans out there, that would absolutely blow our minds. This has been great. So obviously next appearance is going to be at the Rhode Island State Comic Con. We'll drop the link down below.
I probably have something in between. Something in between, but my wife is the brains of the operation as well as the good-looking one. So she usually she knows all the dates, but that's the next big thing that I can come off the top of my head. But that'll be fun. Like I said, get to see my pally hopefully for a little bit.
Well, hopefully we're able to make it down. Rhode Island's always such a fun convention. Been there many times before, so
they do a great job.
Meet up again. Steve, this has been great. Awesome way to spend Halloween with one of the biggest influences on me. This has been. Wait.
All right. Oh,
what's up, Troubadour? What's up, buddy?
I want to see this. Hold on.
What, Steven?
What? Wait. What?
I'm not too late for the pitch, am I?
What pitch?
No.
What?
There's a pitch?
My comic book, Punky. I told you my comic book.
Wait, dude, I said no. You're not pitching your comic to
Steven, are you there?
I've got like 2 seconds left. How long is the pitch?
Give me 30 seconds, please.
Oh my God! All right, you're gonna embarrass us in front of Steve Lavinge. Great.
Oh no.
I made a comic book. It's called The Adventures of Eduardo.
Okay.
It's a comic book. It's about a boy genius named Troubadour who finds a ferret in a dumpster. And when he gets the ferret home, he realizes that he has superpowers that are not of this earth. And he can also see into the future. When
the ferret, or
yes, the ferret.
The ferret. Oh, okay.
And they drink a bunch of beers together, and they quote Borat a whole bunch, and then they fight crime and stuff. I got like the layout here, just kind of like these are all originals, by the way.
Whoa! I can't. I mean, that's one-offs. I would think that's not. Wow. Wow. Well,
I'm so sorry.
Hopefully, I'm going to be talking to somebody at some time about something. I don't publish myself.
Look at that's see, they're saying cowabunga and they're drinking beers and what. That one's kind of a tribute to you.
I'm sorry, but you might have to remove that. I believe that Viacom owns Cowabunga now. You might run into an issue with that. Not us. I mean, we'd be down with it, but Viacom, not so much.
Well, maybe me and you can workshop it a bit.
Well, the Viacops will come and arrest you if you use that. They've got special handcuffs and such. So, wow.
Can I get your address and I'll send it to you?
They have it. I believe it's on.
I'll send that out.
Is it printed above me? You putting it on a crawl line above me with my name?
Yeah, the home address, phone number,
so when
social
this is
security number,
Please, Steven.
So when this is so I'm gonna go back to Halloween mode.
We'll go back to Halloween mode.
And
Steve,
we got my again to True Bandana. It's a beautiful thing. I usually have this on my giant Michelangelo in the corner, so he's a little disheveled without these on. But guys, happy Halloween!
Hey, happy Halloween, Steve!
Happy
Thank you
Halloween.
so much for hanging out with us tonight.
Throw away candy corns. If you don't like them, just chuck them away. Don't put them up on the internet how much you don't like them. You can do vampire teeth with them, but just, give a little love for candy corn. Candy corn needs a little love.
I've got love for candy corn in my heart. I absolutely do.
Orange.
Oh man, as a
Orange.
wise man once said, never pay full price for late pizza. Mixtapers, please make some noise for our featured guest of the week, Steve Lavinge. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Bye, people. Bye, people. Bye.
And we'll probably get sued for this, but cowabunga, dude.
We'll be in
Cowabunga.
touch, Steven.
See you guys.